It is an unimaginable night out here on Front Beach Road, and as the caution tape comes down and some investigators head home, one family from Kentucky will not be heading home with their 2 children. It is all the way almost up to my knees, so keep in mind that's a few inches deep, so if you walk, you kind of dive a little bit. This particular 3-bedroom home costs $175,000. Through the Rehouse Bay program, you could potentially get $50,000, knocking this price down to $125,000. Fire officials tell me this has never happened before. Let's take a look at the sky wheel behind me. As a reminder, I am at Pier Park, and as you mentioned, there are 6 people up there right now. They are stuck after a reported power outage. We are off 8th Street in Panama City, and organizers are calling this place the Biden Victory Center, and they tell me they're doing their best to create a socially distanced watch party. Although we may not see the direct impacts of Zeta, we all remember what happened during Hurricane Sally. Any amount of consistent rain will cause flooding and road closures. Although the Christmas tree may be in a different spot this year, officials still want to bring the same holiday cheer to residents and tourists. Nisa, it is a vastly different sight out here than it was compared to last Friday, and the Panama City Beach community is showing its love through a memorial that continues to grow each and every day. In a spot where a shadow of grief, sadness, and shock once hung overhead, now casts its own shadow, one filled with warmth, love, and support.
When people are hurting, when they are in mourning, we show up.
Panama City Beach residents are showing up for the Kirschgessner family. Siblings Addie and Baylor were killed Friday after being struck by a car while mini golfing. Although the Kentucky family has since returned home, local resident Sharon Moore is making sure 6-year-old Addie and 4-year-old Baylor are not forgotten.
I come by every day, 2 or 3 times a day, and straighten up and kind of spread out things and bring something just about every time I come.
Alongside her comes 2 other guardian angels.
They can't be here, so we're here.
I was very nervous about coming here the first time, but then after I was here, I started feeling the spiritual part of this. And then I met Sharon and I met Mike, and you know, it just really touched me.
What started with a stuffed elephant continues to grow each day, parents bringing their own children to the memorial.
And you can tell that kids are touched by this just as we are.
What did you bring, honey?
A llama.
A llama and 2 balloons.
Yeah.
And 2 balloons.
2 lives cut too short will live on in the community they shared their last smiles in, and that community is sending its love all the way to Kentucky.
I just want to let them know that I'm behind them and I think about them.
We're thinking about them every day.
Us here at News Channel 7 are also keeping the family in our thoughts and prayers. As of today, there are no new updates into the investigation into the cause of the crash. Live in Panama City Beach, Gretchen Kernbach, News Channel 7. What was supposed to be a joyride took a dramatic turn for one family. Thursday night in Panama City Beach, 6 tourists found themselves stranded in a skywheel boxcar more than 180 feet dangling in the air.
We experienced a power outage in the area, and we think that's part of the causation for this incident.
Panama City Beach fire officials say none of the skywheel's backup mechanisms were working. Management here told fire officials that nothing like this has ever happened before at any other skywheel locations. So it became apparent fire crews were going to have to go up there and get them down themselves, but not without the help of some neighbors.
They called for a crane and they needed high-angle rescue techniques and some ways to secure ourselves while we were up on the Ferris wheel, and that's the kind of training that we have at South Walton Fire with our Squad 3 unit.
But it wasn't until a couple of hours after the initial dispatch call, crews were able to set up the crane and make their way to the top, only to realize the mission was going to be more complicated than originally planned.
And we thought we were going to have a fairly simple rescue, which with the wind picking up, it added a level of complexity in trying to maneuver the cart to get access to those folks. But we were able to successfully put a rescuer on top.
Soon enough, the boxcar's doors were opened and the arms inside reached out for help. And 2 by 2, their feet touched the ground once again.
About 6 hours total time being in the car till we were able to get them on the ground.
At the end of the night, first responders made sure what goes up always finds its way back down. In Panama City Beach, Gretchen Kernbach, News Channel 7. Earlier this year, former Bay Haven principal Jamie Vickers received a $250,000 settlement from her former employer, Bay Haven Charter Academy.
I feel like justice has been served. I feel like I have been vindicated. The settlement amount that was paid to me, I think, speaks volumes.
But she says this case was not about money.
My goal or end game was never to litigate my concern.
Vickers claims she was sexually harassed by Bay Haven Chief Education Officer Larry Bollinger. In her lawsuit, the first allegation states she was slapped on her behind.
There was no slap. That just didn't happen.
Bollinger sees things a different way.
I was walking out, she and I were walking out, and it was a casual, unintended touch. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And so, no, there was no slap in any way. There was nothing intentional.
Vickers' lawsuit also alleges she was harassed on 2 other occasions by Bollinger. The suit also claims Vickers was rated as a high-performing educator for years, but she says she started getting poor reviews after she denied Bollinger's sexual advances. Bollinger says it's because she wasn't doing her job.
She was not evaluating the teachers. She was not following the policies. She was less than truthful with the superintendent, the CEO and board.
Bollinger denies all allegations against him.
My feeling is that she came up with all of these allegations in order to somehow better her position.
An internal investigation by Bay Haven Human Resource Coordinator Elizabeth Austell found Bollinger violated the harassment policy on one claim, but did not confirm or deny her other claims. Austell's report calls it a, quote, serious violation of our expectations for a person in his position. In the internal investigation that Ms. Austell did, she does have in her findings that you did violate the policy. Right here, Mr. Bollinger did violate Haven's harassment policy by touching Ms. Vickers inappropriately on her butt. So Ms. Austell did write that in your decision.
I've never seen that.
And you were never aware of this?
No.
Bay Haven officials tell us Bollinger was never made aware of the results of the internal investigation because before they could take action, Vickers filed a complaint with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. At that point, the EEOC took over the case. Soon after, Bay Haven gave Vickers a separation agreement.
At that time, we decided that we didn't feel that that separation agreement was an appropriate way to handle the situation. So for me and my husband, we decided that really fighting for the truth and my integrity meant more than anything else.
That fight led to a lawsuit. The EEOC closed Vickers' case, unable to conclude any violations. But Vickers' lawyer, Jim Garrity, says that means it's not issuing any opinion, and its findings rarely hold up in court.
In fact, all of the judges I encounter in Florida and Georgia will not allow a jury to hear an EEOC finding because in the experience of most judges, that finding or any investigation that the EEOC may have done is just unreliable.
You don't have any response that most of the time EEOC findings are thrown out anyway?
See, I don't know. I have not been through this before.
Okay.
So this is the first time I've been through anything with the EEOC, and I really don't know all the inner workings.
This isn't the first time Bay Haven has dealt with the EEOC. Bay Haven has now paid out $850,000 in 4 settlements. The results of a 5th lawsuit are still pending. Each of the 5 women who sued Bay Haven first filed a claim with the EEOC. School leaders say they have insurance to cover these payouts.
To me, this is part of a large organization and basically what happens with nearly 400 employees. And these things sometimes happen. You deal with them the best you can. If you make mistakes, you make those changes and go forward.
Bollinger maintains he's done nothing wrong.
There comes times when there are employees, perhaps that do not agree with the decision that was made, and then can come back and just, manufacture facts, manufacture allegations.
Those allegations can result in lengthy court battles. Bollinger says it's cheaper to settle than go to court.
That's not a prudent use of the public dollars.
But public dollars are spent on insurance premiums. On top of that, for each case, the insurance deductible costs $5,000. But do you think that's okay, still paying the $5,000 deductible?
Well, we have to have insurance. It's so that you have to have insurance to drive your car. And so, yeah, do you think it's okay to pay your deductible if you get in an accident to get the car fixed?
Yeah, but do you think there's a problem when you get in an accident every single year?
Well, I'm not sure we got in an accident. I think we're probably talking about apples and oranges here.
From 2016 to present, Bay Haven's insurance premiums have gone up about $39,000. But Bay Haven officials say there are many reasons why that can happen.
There's a lot of money being spent, and with that money being spent, whether it's an insurance premium or a direct dollar out of budget, these are all resources that could be going to children.
For Vickers, she says it was a difficult decision. She knew the results would be catastrophic to her career.
To be quite honest, after seeing several women coming forward and them also having lost their jobs, I feared for my job.
She hopes sharing her story leads to change.
Work environments in Bay County can no longer be the way they were.
In Bay County, Gretchen Kernbach, News Channel 7. There is heavy flooding here on Alf Coleman Road in Panama City Beach. Cabana West residents find themselves stranded on the side of the road. And as a matter of fact, other residents in Panama City Beach have also found themselves stranded because of Hurricane Sally.
We knew that it was going to do what it was going to do, so it didn't take very long at all. I mean, it just started staying and won't go nowhere. We're tired of it.
On Tuesday, the homes on Faith Lane were merely threatened with growing puddles of floodwaters. Just one day later, the threat has become a reality.
Got a little bit of sleep, wake up at 8:30 this morning, and to a lake in my front yard.
The flooding in this one particular neighborhood comes up to the middle of my shins. Now, if you do choose to walk or drive through flooded waters, any height of flooded waters, know your surroundings. Now, look, I take a few more steps and I am standing in a pothole. And if you take a look, the water has risen at least 2 inches on my legs.
Awestruck. Just absolutely awestruck. I just can't believe what I'm seeing out here.
Neighbors say they expected it and did their best to prepare, but in the end, Hurricane Sally welcomed itself into their homes.
We're shoveling water out of our screened-in porch. Our dam didn't break or anything. It's just seeping in from the bottom.
Home after home, most residents are underwater.
It's really upsetting me because, you know, this is my home. And I don't want to lose my home. I don't want it to get all wet and have problems with my home.
They say it's a constant problem and no one has given them a solution.
Everybody's on this little corner is just about to their wits' end. People are actually wanting to sell and leave. They need to do something. The city, the county, whatever. Somebody needs to do something.
Residents tell me they don't expect the flooding to go down for at least another day. In Panama City Beach, Gretchen Kernbach, News Channel 7.